rainbows and sunshine, it's draining.
If that's the case, then I just won't say anything at all.
That's how marriages work. We just don't communicate and we're just in the house.
You like when we have moments like this.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Bird 91 part 3 of our breakdown of Alexis and Justin and their particular argument. Really wanted to break it down so we can get a bit more clearer aspects of in terms of what's actually happening in this argument, because many of us have these type of arguments and there's several arguments happening at once. And so I wanted to break this particular part down. Let's talk a little bit about Justin's manipulation. Yes, each week I've talked about Alexis and her particular madness that I think she brings to the table. But on this particular occasion, I do think Justin has to take some accountability. And I do believe he is, in fact, involved in passive-aggressive maneuvers, which are going to become full-blown manipulation within the relationship. And therefore, Alexis is right to call out some of this manipulative behavior. And I guess she's seeing the road it's going down beforehand. Let's break it down and let's go a bit deeper into this argument, and you can understand why I'm calling out some of his manipulative behaviors, and maybe you can see some of these things within your own relationship as to why this is manipulative. Like it, share, subscribe, and you click on that bell button for notification of the up, lows, and for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is. You got the minerals, baby. Okay, let's get a little bit deeper into this conversation. Let's break it down a bit further, and let's see what we can go. All right, let's go there, baby. All right, cool. So you just heard the conversation between Alexis and Justin, and the moment she says, obviously, tries to correct him on something, he goes into the zero-sum mode. And zero-sum mode basically means that nobody's gonna. I'm gonna ground everything. Okay, it's almost like, and people do this a lot, where you have an argument and say, hey, look. I don't like the fact that you say shut up to me. All right, I guess then I just won't talk to you then ever again then. I guess I won't say anything to you then. It's like, and no, he did it and Lindy did it in their conversation as well. Lindy also too, she did the exact same thing where when she was talking about the case about the insurance and about being on his insurance, and she said, well, I guess I'll just end up getting hit by a car then and dying. I was like, what the frick, what the frick, what the frick, what the frick, what you talking about, sis? What That's not what he's saying, not even close to. But the person goes to a complete extreme in order to manipulate you to feel some type of emotional concern in that moment so that they can get you to see their point of view. Right? Let's just go slightly back a little bit. And you see Alexis' face actually changes when he says this thing, right? Because that's not exactly what she wasn't saying.
We just don't communicate and we're just in the house.
You like when we have moments like this. Like,
For what?
I don't know. But you get aroused out of that. And that's cool,
So you notice that he goes, obviously, and now on this particular occasion, now he goes and says, obviously, you get aroused, you get a kick of obviously being in these type of scenarios and situations. And it's like, nah, cuzzy, I'll be honest with you, I think she might do get a little, I won't say she gets a kick, but I would say some people do like a bit more of an argument, right? They like to go toe-to-toe. On this occasion, she's actually been quite fair and actually been quite direct with her communication in a way that's not correct, that's disrespectful. Where I'm like, normally I'll go, Alexis has been rude here, or no, this was clear-cut communication, letting you know exactly what she felt and what she expected from you, and keeping her tone very even, wasn't stern, none of that, and she wasn't telling you off, and yet still he twisted it because of his own feelings about not wanting to be critiqued, right, in that moment. So you hear him talk about it. Let's just go slightly back again. I just want to so we can just get a fair idea of what's happening here, all right?
That's how marriages work. We just don't communicate and we're just in the house.
You like when we have moments like this. Like,
For what?
I don't know.
Now you notice, obviously, in this moment, he says, obviously, now, she said basically, so now we're not going to communicate, right? Because that's what you're saying. Now you don't want us to communicate. And then his next ploy is now to say, well, because you get a kick out of it. Well, now he's shifted it again. See, that small section now of what it does, he's now shifted the whole thing again, because it was about, oh, I'm not going to, well, I guess I'm not going to talk then now from now on. Like, you're doing what a kid does. And that's that immaturity coming through that a lot of us as adults actually have when we communicate when we're hurt. We go into immature tactics in terms of telling a person, I guess I won't talk to you again. And you know what's really interesting? I'm learning really, 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 I'm learning quite well that when I'm hurt, I could do what, I could do what Justin's doing. But I realize now when you're claiming to be more mature in your emotional state, and you're claiming to be vulnerable, and you're clearly and I'm going by my motto, which I want you guys to really take on board. If I'm a leader, I'm going to show you. I'm not going to tell you. Then I'm going to show you how I expect to be treated, and I'm going to show you how I expect to be communicated with. Meaning, I'm going to handle you with care, and I'm going to handle you with love. And even though I felt like you did me dirty, I'm going to communicate in a different way. And in this particular instance, Justin hasn't done that. He hasn't shown. And he potentially hasn't really told her either, because he's hurt. And that makes him then choose an action which is based out of that hurt and that pain that goes against the very thing you want, which is intimacy. You want the person to be closer to you, and you're doing an action which actually produces the person to push them away further. Do you get me? You're now doing an action which pushes the person even further away than when you first started. That's not what you want. And that's what human beings do all the time. We do actions which we really want the person to be more intimate, but because we're afraid of being vulnerable, afraid of being of showing ourselves openly to the person because we might get hurt, then we do something to protect ourselves.
No, but you get aroused out of that, and that's cool. You know, it is what it is.
All right, because you're doing the absolute most.
Okay.
Like,
you just want to be heard, and you don't want to understand.
So his whole thing is that he wants to be understood. He wants to be, seen and heard. He wants to feel like, he's actually, I guess being covered, if you want to call it that, right? Alexis has her own issues, of course. We can talk about later on when with the friends, and then bringing up a conversation in front of friends the way she did, in the way she did, which is synonymous with the way she's done it in the previous past about, oh, he's celibate, and saying to her friends he's celibate, and then everything like that. We can break those parts down and talk about Alexis, how she always not covering him in those moments. But in this particular instance, this wasn't about covering. This was about you just being honest and being open about how you actually thought and why you did what you did. And instead of taking accountability by just saying, listen, I was wrong, and and I'm so sorry for that. And you're right. Do you know what? If you're gonna cuss me, I understand. I gotta take it, because at the end of the day, I did do something wrong, and I know that I should have told you the truth, and it's such a big thing too. But instead, he's trying to look for the sympathy, though, because, again, his niceness is a cover-up, which is what I'm saying is a manipulation for who he really is and what he really wants to say. And when you uncover the niceness, there usually is rotten flesh underneath that armor. And that's why you need to heal, because the rotten flesh is just waiting for the opportunity to rise to the surface. The armor of niceness will eventually peel away. And when it does peel away, what are we left with? Dotty flesh pon bone. You understand? Right? So, let's play a little bit more, and I'll show you this last part.
Having this conversation, if you don't want to listen, you listening to okay. You're not listening to understand, just like you're doing now.
Justin, you're like...
He said, obviously, she's not really listening. She's not listening to understand. I mean, I think she did a pretty good job. I don't think she was being disrespectful at all. I thought she was listening to him. And then this is how much okay, and I'm kind of like both of them kind of do it anyway. This particular instance where she kind of says, "I'm done with the conversation," walks away, and then he kind of now gets up. Now he's walking away, and he's gonna keep on talking, because really and truly, what he really wants is for her to say, "Babe, I love you. I care about you. Come back. I just wanted to reassure you." That's what he really wants to hear. And instead of just saying that, like, look, right now, I know you're angry, and I hear that. I don't have an issue with you being angry. What I do feel, though, is that when you are angry, for me, I'm feeling like you're gonna leave me, and that's my honest truth. Then the person can say, listen, I'm not going to leave you because of this. What I'm gonna say is, but I need to tell you how serious the situation is. This is a very serious situation. It's a very serious situation. Right? Very serious. So, yeah, it's that aspect. But as soon as she called his name, what did he do? He turned around.
Oh, you like drama. What? I'm not a person that argues, and I
mean, she don't argue, but she does tell people what it is straight to their face. So, again, I want to leave it there and just say again once more, Justin's got to be the passive aggressiveness. He's got to chew. He's got to be very, very careful with that. The ability not to tell the truth when you're feeling like you're feeling hurt it's going to be a problem that builds on its own and becomes an explosion. Tell her how you feel and be direct with that. Nothing else, nothing less. Like it, share, subscribe. Click on that bell button for notification uploads. We appreciate you guys.